Hi, it's Michelle, and I'm a certified holistic nutritionist and emotional eating expert. And today I wanted to share a little bit on why therapy didn't work for me, specifically with my emotional eating. And this, just to put a disclaimer out there, I have nothing against therapy. I just want to speak to my experience and just what I've found and what I've worked, and it might be helpful to you. So, like I was saying, I found that therapy for me specifically didn't help with my emotional eating. Yes, I was going to therapy and I committed to it, and I was working through a lot of emotional issues. I was going through a really stressful time in my life. There was a lot of struggles and a lot of things coming up. But what I found was that my emotional eating didn't seem to improve. That yes, I would go and talk about things and leave kind of feeling better. Sometimes I didn't always feel, completely resolved. And a lot of the times I walked away without feeling empowered. I kind of felt that disempowered, and I don't believe that I was really meeting my needs. And the reason I say that is that now that I've had so much time since, when my last sort of really deep binges and things like that would happen, to reflect and to try other modalities, I realized that in therapy, what was happening, it was a talk therapy, it was cognitive behavioral therapy. So I was changing a lot of behaviors, but I wasn't looking at the deep root of it. I wasn't getting into the deep root. I wasn't resolving it at a deeper emotional level, from a body level. I also wasn't specifically looking at my emotional eating. So I'm going to talk a little bit about what I found didn't work in therapy for me specifically. So like I mentioned, the first thing was that I was talking a lot about what was going on, so I was really aware of a lot of trauma, but I was not resolving it at the root. So I would talk and talk about it, and I was very much in my head, but our emotions live in our body, so I wasn't accessing it in my body. I wasn't really resolving it in my body and getting to the root. I was changing behaviors, but not connecting it and resolving the root and processing the emotion in order to change the behavior from a deeper place. When we have a lot of emotions in our body and we are telling ourselves to do this, and this, and we're putting a lot of pressure, it became much more restrictive. I felt so much more restrictive. And that's what diets do. They give you all of these things you have to do, but if you have a lot of emotion and resistance underneath, it's not helping you. It's actually building up more pressure in your body. So that's part of the reason it wasn't working for me. Another reason was that it was not specific to my trigger. So if I went in with my trigger, actually my therapist never asked me about my triggers, like what triggered this, what was creating this. We just generally spoke. And sort of that type of therapy, I guess it's expected. We talk and talk, and it's almost like the person talking kind of reaches an aha. You get some guiding questions, but they're more just listening to you, which is good in a way. You want to be listened to, but it doesn't transform the issue. And so I talked and talked, but I never got into the root of why I was doing certain things. I just kept trying to change the behavior, like I said before. And so when you don't get into, the details of why you're being triggered, you can't stop a triggering event. You're not aware of it. You can't go deeper. And so this is something I teach clients, to become truly aware of their triggers and to almost slow down and pause before a trigger is happening, because they become so aware and really good at seeing when a trigger is coming, to slow down. So if you want to know more about this, I highly suggest to download my What Are You Truly Hungry For guide, and it distinguishes between true and emotional hunger, and it will give you some guidance to start doing that, to really tuning into your body every time you feel hunger. But what this does is it slows down the process so that you know you are emotionally hungry or emotional, and to start inquiring, why are you hungry? What's going on? Noticing the foods you're eating, all of that. And the more aware you can become, you'll know this is a trigger, this is happening, and you can actually get into the root of it. So whatever emotion is coming up in that moment, you get into the root of it and process it, feel it, journal, meditate, or sometimes with clients, when it's much deeper, they do a one-to-one session with me and we go deeper into the root of what's going on in this emotional eating episode. The third area that I feel therapy did not helped me with was the mind-body connection. So our mind and our body, our brain and our gut are connected via the vagus nerve. There is constant communication. So when our gut, our digestion is off, that means our mood is going to be off. And when our mood is off, that means our digestion is going to be off. So it's this circular pattern. So food becomes very important. Nourishment, strategic digestion, it becomes very important when we're looking at emotional eating, because our moods trigger our emotional eating. When we're not feeling great, when we're extra triggered or extra, insert mood here or emotion here, we go towards the food. So if our digestion and what we're eating is impacting our mood, that's also a driving factor. With therapy, they don't look at this connection, even though they're dealing with the brain. It's very isolated. It's not holistic. And what I found is that we need to look at I needed to look at myself as a whole person, holistically, so that I wasn't just plugging a hole there and here and not feeling like I was making progress or having momentum. We need all those little connecting parts to see that the system's working, that a method or a way we're doing something is working. So if we're just doing the therapy and we're not looking at the food and the nourishment and the digestion, then we're missing a really big part of the healing puzzle. So that was missing in therapy as well. And looking back, that was a key factor in emotional eating as well. Noticing how foods make me feel, how they digest, and being really strategic about that was so key and important. But again, if you go to conventional talk therapy, they don't factor that in, even though it's so key and important, and the research and data is just supporting it so much more these days. So I hope this video has given you a clear idea of why therapy didn't work for emotional eating for me. It didn't get into the deeper root cause issues of my emotional eating, the type of therapy I was doing. It didn't focus specifically on my triggers, and also didn't have that mind-body connection. And again, a disclaimer, I'm not saying therapy is bad or awful. Of course, that's an individual decision. What I found as I've done this work is that there are other modalities, and that's the modality I do with clients if they want to do one-to-one work, is doing these deeper somatic meditations that are transformational. It's a transformational therapy that processes these emotions, transforms them, and meets the need so that you can move forward in an empowered way. You're not just aware of your emotional eating or, constantly trying to restrict or run away from it or avoid it. You can meet it head on and really process and move through it and actually become more empowered and whole in yourself. So, of course, if you have any questions, please let me know. And if this is something that is missing that you feel that would empower you and help you with your emotional eating, I invite you to get in touch with me to set up a complimentary consult. That is the best way to know if my program can help you and if we'd be a good fit to working together. And of course, you'll gain a lot of clarity and insight regardless once you're on the call. So, thank you so much for watching. Please be sure to like and subscribe if you haven't. And I look forward to sharing more with you, and I hope you have a great day.